Is it in the keys? The fingertips that reach out to touch them? The string that begs to be bent? Or is it in the notes on a page? A foot to a pedal? The infinite space between imagination and skill? Or is it simply music?
Hello, everyone. Happy Thanksgiving weekend. Of course, today's Black Friday. That means everybody's out shopping, supposedly, but we don't know if that is. But welcome to the 13th Note, Art of Mastery. I am Jeff Spike Wong, and today I am bringing you an episode that is follow suit in the sense of the series that I'm doing for you guys. It started with self-refinement. And then I have self-refinement part 2, finding your way. Then we did systems in place. And then we did mastery of your own frequency and mastering your focus. So now to wrap this end up, today's episode is going to follow suit to help in put everything together. And this is called the 3 components of mastery. The reason why I did all this in regards to the mastery, somewhat of an educational, informative type of podcast, the idea was to kind of help everybody go along with understanding the book. This one, the 365 method. Now, the 365 method, of course, is a process of refinement for self, and I was able to produce and create this book about a year ago for everyone who is seeking refinement and self-awareness. And this goes even deeper than just self-help and self-improvement. The idea behind it is that if you're doing everything right, you're eating good and you're working out, and you're being healthy, and you're still not feeling that you're getting the kind of results that you're striving for. And that's where this book comes in. 365 method is a system that can help you to really reach next level and above. If the book is used in a correct way, and there's many ways to use the book, there's instructions with the book. So with the full use, let's say it that way, with the full use of the book, it will take you a complete cycle of 1 year, 365, hence 365 method. So the idea is to be able to refine and get better, to be able to achieve things that you've always wanted to achieve, but never, I would say, never gotten there, fallen short, or come to obstacles and forks in the roads that constantly derail you. Well, this is the book that's going to help you to center yourself in awareness. There is the hardbound version, which is in the yellow cover. That book is a tabletop book, and actually that book is designed to last for a long, long time, where the paperback version is this one. So this is a soft cover book, still robust, 300 and 400 pages or something like that. And that book is the book that you can actually get and, highlight, mark, write on it and all that good stuff. So I encourage everyone that if you're in a position that you feel that you can use something that gets you over the hump, you can work with a system that would help you achieve where you've never gone before. This is an excellent choice, both 365 methods and its so-called various ways of using that book. Like, for instance, if you didn't have the commitment, I mean, really, it comes down to you, isn't it? If you don't want to make the commitment, but you want to be able to get some assistance, there is definitely possibilities to do that as well. So, with today's podcast, we are going to go down to the topic of the three components of mastery. And what is the three components of mastery? What is mastery itself? Is the refinement of constantly looking at and creating a way, a path to polish and refine your goals or your path toward a common goal or end goal. And the refinement aspect of it is something that I would say to every one of you that it's a lifelong journey. It is not something that you would reach in one day and go, oh, perfectly, I'm done. It can be, depends really on the goal. If you're doing a short-term goal, like say, I want to play piano and I want to play Fur Elise by Beethoven. Okay, well, you can take lessons and, get on the piano, get a piano and start practicing. And eventually one day you will finish that piece and play it competently if you practice every day. So that type of refinement has an end goal results. But if you're looking for something even greater, for instance, how can I continuously be in a way that I feel loved? How can I be in a way that I make the greatest, best decisions on my foot, putting my foot forward into the right direction? Those are the type of things that it doesn't really end, because there's a constant living in the moment behavior. And this is where you would want to take your time, figure it out, and take these steps one at a time. And this is where, if you don't know what I'm talking about, or that seems still somewhat confusing, I encourage you to go back to the Rumble channel, the 13th Note Art of Mastery, and watch the episodes that I've done in this series. The mastery of focus and mastering your own frequency are two very in-depth podcasts that will help you individually once you already understand what's going on. System in place is how you set this up so you can get the most effectiveness out of your efforts. So you need to have a system. It's no different than training as an athlete or practice as a musician or anything that you're great at. Is that you need a way to develop path, a system, a way that you can self-check and evaluate how far you've gotten and where you are going, and have you gotten there and achieved these desirable results. With that, the first two episodes of the podcast, that really just gets this whole ball rolling: self-refinement and self-refinement part 2, finding your way, your Tao. And these are just basically start to unearth the clutter, start paving the way, and understanding how much effort and commitment it's required from you to be great. Any one of you out there who claims to be great and put no effort to it, chances are it's not as good as it should be. Because being great is measured by what? Achievements and results. Are you hitting those results and achievements? If you are not, then I would recommend the book and follow me. I also offer personal, I wouldn't even say coaching. I would say strategist and planner, because coaching is just basically hands off and, here's an idea and here, go do it. where a strategist and planner actually sits down and I will get with you to talk very in depth of the type of things that you have failed at, the type of things you have achieved at, and then start to map out a journey for and with you to be able to understand when failures appear or when success appear, and then how to refine that and understanding that failure is not bad. Failure is actually a way of closing doors and not proceed down a certain direction when you know it does not serve you. So, understanding these things are crucial to your own refinement and your own personal success. Now, let's start with today. The first of the three components is the moment of decision. Now, I learned this a long, long time ago. I used to stay up really late at night, and being a professional musician, of course, right? But no, I mean, there's times that you're just practicing, and times, you're doing stupid stuff and sitting up all night. And during that time period, Anthony Robbins, personal power, that guy used to come on and do infomercials from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock in the morning. And I would be watching this and thinking to myself, what's going on here? So I got his first book, Personal Powers, and read it. And I was really surprised at some of the common sense that was in that book. One of the most that left the indelible, just the impression that what I've been doing wrong the entire time was the moment of decision. That moment of decision is instantaneous. Like, for instance, are you going to go out to eat or are you going to stay home and cook? That's a decision. It could be instantaneous. Sure, of course. Do you want to go eat? I have no money in my pocket, so therefore I'm going to stay home and cook. That's instantaneous. But if we're doing something great, I love her or I love him, maybe we should get married. Is that an instantaneous decision? It is. But it comes with a journey. It comes with time of evaluation and growth. So sometimes that instantaneous decision scares you. It brings fear into your life because, man, that's a big decision to take this job. That's a big decision to marry this person. That's a big decision to, Is it a big decision? Of course. If you feel the pressure of how it would affect you, it's a huge decision. But if you then step back for a second and go, okay, what have I done to lead myself up to this point? And that's the key that you need to really embrace and recognize. Instantaneous decisions often are not made on a dime without considerations and thoughts. Often it has been mulled over in your mind for quite a while. And ultimately, enough is enough. Are you going to do it or are you not? And that's the decision that you have to come to. Do I want to buy a house? Do I want to buy a piano? Do I want to buy a car? Do I want to get married? Do I want to change career? Do I want to go to college? All these things are really not instantaneous decisions without quite a while of the efforts and the thought that puts into to make these decisions. So you need to recognize and honor that. The moment of decision comes with preparation. So if you feel not confident, you need to step back and look at your preparation. What is the preparation that you have up to this point? Well, I saw it in on TV or in a movie, and I just decided that could be great. Really? You're going to get married because you saw some movie that show how great marriage is, so you just decide that? So you need to evaluate. You really need to look at it. How long you been dating this person? Well, 4 or 5 weeks. 4 or 5 months, 4 or 5 years. Okay, so whatever it may be, this is where you need to start to assess your evaluation, and you need to look at your evaluation with quality thinking, quality in-depth thoughts. In other words, don't just go surface. Oh, she makes great dinner. We have a great intimacy, great life, in bed, and she makes good money. Yeah, while all that is great, is the heart in the right place? Is the spirit in the right place? And is the mind, body, spirit balanced in the right place? So, again, to make the moment of decision confidently, you really have to do your homework. And this is why it takes a while sometimes to make the right decisions, despite of you think it was right at the time, because the preparation led you to believe that. And that's okay, because again, failure is part of success. Don't ever fear failure. So, again, with the thought of the moment of decision, it's a split second thought. And it's okay if you've been prepping for it, because confidently you're going to walk through that door and you're going to confidently take the next, whatever it may be, to the best of your ability once you make that decision. What doesn't really work for success is sitting on the fence, not making a decision at all. You can sit there and let fear dictate, hesitate, considerate, whatever it's copping its energy and holding you back. You need to recognize that and remove and let that energy go. That is a dark force energy. Of course, there's certain energies that keeps you back for your own safety. For instance, if you're going out into the jungle, I think seriously, if you're not prepared to do something like that, why are you doing it? Because it's a dangerous place. We're not facing that most of the time. So that isn't really our problem or obstacles that we need to deal with on a regular basis. What is getting up every morning, looking yourself in the mirror and go, am I the best I can be today? And then you go out to the world and exhibit that. And you actually participate in that. So that's important. That's extremely important for everyone to understand that when you make your decision, it's a split second. And it's exactly what it's designed to do. Make a decision. Go right, go left, go in, go out, go up, go down, whatever it may be, the decision. The preparation is the important part. The level of confidence in this so-called moment of decision, the preparation comes really when it settles in on the balance. So the mind, body, spirit must really be in line for you confidently to walk in. You understand, you can justify it with your logic. You can feel the intention, the passion with your heart, and within the gut, the spirit, within self, you know confidently that this is a great adventure. You're enthusiastic. There's something to be said about when you are pumped up to move forward, and that drives the moment of the decision. So, with all that being put on the table, how many of you are facing the moment of decision that you constantly deny that moment? In other words, you put it off. In other words, you kind of, well, maybe tomorrow. You delay, you just, whatever excuse you constantly find ways to do. And that's self-defeating. That is counterproductive. Why? Because again, something is causing fear. You don't need to have fear. You need to have the alignment of the logic, the intention, the passion, and the confidence all within the mind, body, spirit. So if that's not aligning, then go back to preparation, because that's really where it lies. Something you have not done or reviewed, create analysis for it. And these are things that maybe it was just the last bit of something that you really need. You needed that one little more to kick it over. Whatever those are, discover it, embrace it, and then follow it and go forward. Of course, now the second part of the component of mastery is awareness. Now, it sounds easy. What is awareness? Awareness is being aware, right? What is being aware? What does that really mean? Well, that means, are you in the moment? You really have to come down first and foremost and recognize, am I in the moment? Am I actually doing something that embraces the present? Okay. Decision in doing things and making things go is being in the moment. It's not about projecting, oh, I'm going to concentrate on 5 years down the road right now. It's not like, man, I shouldn't have done this because yesterday when I did something like this and it did got the results that was less desirable. So therefore, I'm thinking about what I shouldn't have done yesterday. While that seems to be, some of the logical ways that we do to protect ourselves from failing, it is actually counterproductive because the awareness is not being centralized and focused here in the now, in the present. It's easy to just kind of put it off because that means there's less risk and there's less responsibility and there's less of anything that would come back to you and go, oh, what did I just do? Or what didn't I just do? Or what did just happen? And those are things of remorse and regrets that you may have had it happen. But again, if you have remorse and regrets, you're looking at the decision and the movement of the awareness in a wrong context, because failure is part of that. Again, we've been conditioned and trained that failure causes remorse, regrets, self-defeating. We beat ourselves up over it. We compare ourselves to other people's measuring stick. And if someone else is successful at a certain measuring stick, we then look at it and goes, well, I'm not as successful as that person though. So therefore, I'm just not even going to try anymore because I failed at this, or I'm not as good as this. Opposed to really understand that person's measuring stick is their failure, because it could be very much that, and they're disappointed, but your perception of their success limits your personal success. Does that make sense? Think about that. Don't use other people's measuring stick or even their system without really understanding who you are, what you want, what you can do, what you cannot do, what you are willing to do, and what you are willing not to do. That is awareness. That is a huge factor in the greatness of yourself that you must embrace without fear, without the so-called the hesitation of, well, regret. If I do this, I may regret. There's several things I know in my life that I should not have hesitated. And do I regret? No, I don't regret, because I know as my life moved forward into other opportunities that I embraced certain things, and that ultimately led me here. So, hey, it was meant to be. This was the path that was paved, even though that some of the things that I hesitated on previously, that if I would have taken that path, would have it been better, greater? Doesn't matter, because I didn't take that path. So again, that's awareness, because I'm in the present. I am not thinking about, oh, I should have done this, or if I only would have just went with that. And by doing those things, you're totally depleting yourself in the moment of presence, and you're totally depleting yourself of self-awareness, of confidence and balance. So those are things that is not conducive and is not contributing to your success of going forward. I hope you really embrace that thought, because that is what most people fail at. They're not in the moment of awareness. They're constantly playing other people's game, looking at the future, looking back at the past, continuously trying to make sense, and then creating a formula out of those decisions opposed to being in the moment. And then when you make a decision using things that is not serving to you to the fullest, what happens? Your results tend to come out less than desired or somewhat disappointing. Who wants to work hard and ultimately come back disappointing, right? Except some people accept that. Yeah, it's okay. My team doesn't win every year. My team doesn't win at all. My business can only make so much. I don't care what, my family, they're just that way. So we're just going to, let it be. Everything that is just kind of, it is what that became. So I'm going to accept it. Opposed to, you know what? I don't like my current situation. I don't like the dynamics of what my business is. I don't like playing on a team that have a losing mentality. I don't like an argumentative type of family. I don't like families that don't care about each other's space. All these things that you already assess in your prep, you then can create a motivation and a path away, finding your dough to develop connections to those. How can I create a better team environment? Well, am I the one that's going, woe is me? Or am I the one that's showing up and goes, hey, fellas, this is our statistics from the previous game. Let me tell you, I think we're doing something right, but here's what we're not doing right. Find solutions to your problems. Find ways to elevate not only yourself, but others around you. This is an essential key to greatness. Not only yourself, but everything around you becomes great. I don't like the way my business is running. I don't think we're profitable. So therefore, what can I do? Can I get a business consultant? Can I get someone else in the team to replace the one that's dragging us down? Am I not putting in the right amount of effort or saying the right things to motivate or marketing my product the most dynamic way? See, there's so many questions that when you start to center yourself into awareness, that will come to you to say, hey, what am I not doing? What is going on? Why am I still constantly chasing something opposed to holding and being right there where I want to be? So that is one of the most, I would say, contributing factor to me is when I got out of that mindset of I want to be like Edward Van Halen. I want to be a millionaire. I want to have women adoring me. I want, all these things that other people's measuring stick became my system because I thought the false sense of what success was. Success was being desirable, being rich, and being able to be adored, all these things that really had nothing to do with what I worked so hard at, which is playing music. Because I start to lose the sight of what playing the music was about. Because the driver has always been somebody else's goals that I'm trying to emulate, opposed to my own personal goals. Once I start to really understand and start honing in on that, I've noticed those things start falling away. Got into a beautiful marriage, great relationship. Playing is better than ever in playing music, not about the paycheck, not about the so-called the career, having to be able to drive X amount of money into my system. Yeah, I know we all want money to live on, so forth. And it sure is nice to have luxurious stuff and be able to purchase in the luxury department, of stuff, meaning that I'm not just buying a used car, I'm buying a brand new car that can serve the whole family or serve myself, whatever it may be. I want to take a vacation. I want to go to Europe. I want to, the things that you want to contribute to your life experience. So to be able to focus into that, I recognized that my failure was my lack of self-awareness because I was constantly looking at other people's measuring stick. And It took a while. I mean, I really had to break my paradigm totally down. I went to a workshop in Los Angeles, in Santa Monica, actually. It doesn't exist anymore. It was personal workshop by Barbara DeAngelis, and we really worked in regards to how to break old paradigms and rebirthing yourself. And I was very successful because I was desperate. I was at a point where I needed something that gave me confidence, that gave me love, that gave me support. And everything that I was surrounding was not giving me that. It was fake, it was phony. My empowerment coming from magic, black arts, it was absolutely just disintegrating, and it was actually destroying me piece by piece. So those are the kind of things that I would say that you have to really embrace failure to really recognize just how bad the system was for you and yourself and development. So now let's go to the third section, the third component. So let me just recap. Moment of decision, first component. Number 2, awareness. Awareness of everything. Self, within self, around you. Number 3, the third component, the commitment to become. What does that even mean? The commitment to become. Okay. So the thing is, are you clear about what you want to do? Are you very focused and intent? This is why I did the mastery of focus, because a lot of people just don't have focus, don't have the idea what being focused about, right? Can you stare and look into something and drill your mind into a laser type intention? This is focus. It is required to be great. Most of the stuff that we do requires focus. Let's just give you an idea for playing baseball, hitting a baseball. Most people, well, I would say, everybody who's been in sports and whatnot have said the opinion of hitting a baseball is probably the hardest thing in any sports. Can be. I think there's a lot other harder thing. I can't pole vault 16 feet. I think that's hard as heck. I can't dunk a basketball. I think that's hard as heck. So hitting a baseball to me wasn't that hard because I could hit one. But the idea about hitting a baseball is the idea of the focus. Can you actually watch the ball coming out of the hand of the pitcher and the ball spinning and actually see the lace turn to see the path where the ball becomes and ultimately end up, whether you're on your bat leaving or coming past you into the catcher's glove? And these are the things of, can you dial that in? For me, dialing it in wasn't that hard. I was able to do it much easier as an adult than I was a kid. Why? As a kid, no one was teaching me any of these skills, these thought processes. So when I was a kid, it was purely raw talent. When you see a ball and try to hit the ball, it was just hopefully you get it. Now, as an adult, especially being in a so-called men's league, I have no pressure because I've been a performer pretty much, at least half of my life. So walking on a stage in front of people, doing things, talking, whether it be sales presentations, management, all that, I've done that too. So it just wasn't any kind of pressure to perform under circumstances that gets me to separate from awareness, start to have any kind of concerns and fears and, oh my goodness, this guy throws so hard and so fast, man, how am I going to hit that? None of those thoughts exist anymore. Why? Because I have developed my level of focus to be able to serve me. So that way, when I make a decision, swing or not swing, awareness of the presence of what is actually coming at me right now, right? When I say coming at me right now, meaning that I'm in the moment. When I'm looking at that ball, I'm not thinking what's for dinner. I'm not thinking I need to go get gas for my car to go home. I am looking intently 110% the ball leaving the guy's hand. So again, the way that this become is a development that I had to commit to. I had to make an effort. I have to prep. In other words, I didn't practice one time or two times or, a week or a month just to get this. I mean, this is a refinement. As long as I'm playing competitive baseball, I'm constantly refining. I am constantly working on this. So therefore, it feels fresh. It feels right here, right now. This is where the present is so important. Be in it. Be aware of it. So when I'm there to commitment to become, the thing is, am I being very clear? Am I getting what I want? Am I obtaining what I came for? Because this is now the final destination. This is where I've made the decision. I am aware fully what I'm going into. And now I am looking for the results and the answers, and I'm going about it. Sometimes that answers takes a while. Sometimes it doesn't. It depends what it is. It's okay. Don't get frustrated. Being self-aware will eliminate frustration because you're not looking at the past. Well, that happened last time, and that just drives me so crazy, and I just can't focus. See, I can't focus because of that. This is why leaving the presence awareness actually causes you the way of getting to success, because you're leaving to go to the past. Or you start going, oh, if I do that, I saw somebody else do it, and they, and you're going away again. Now, going into somebody else's system, going into the future, what they did, you could do, you could get the same results that they are, but you're not them. If you put 10 chefs in a kitchen, you don't give them a recipe, but you give them the ingredients, the 10 chefs will come up with 10 different tasting dishes, despite of, if you say, everybody cook me something in the Asian palette with chicken, and here's all your ingredients. Just go. And they're not going to give you instructions. They're not going to give you the recipe or anything. You, as a chef, will create. So out of 10 chefs, maybe there are a couple of guys who would do the same. Oh, this is sweet and sour chicken. This guy did another version of sweet and sour chicken. Well, that guy did an orange chicken. This guy did a sesame chicken. That guy did a General Tso chicken. This guy did curry chicken. So you can see everybody's different. And this is why, for you, at the moment, when you make that commitment to become, you need to recognize, who are you? You are uniquely you. You need to make that and commit to that and embrace it, all your heart and spirit, and also your mind. This is where the balance is okay within self. If you have a way of, just constantly defeating yourself by creating situations or thought processes that, I'm not good at this. I wish I could be better. I'm always so nervous when I do this. Folks, the key, what you would do to yourself on those type of examples, is feeding yourself the information of failure. You are your own worst nightmare, because you are creating the thought to yourself of why you cannot achieve the greatness that you want to achieve, that you thought about achieving, but you have somehow convinced yourself that it's so hard to get there. Now, let me say that again. If you are constantly making excuses when someone praises you, hey, that was really good. Yeah, I wish I could do it better. You're not honoring the greatness. You're totally missing out the boat. You are still saying your personal greatness is not good enough. Okay, well, that's great. Refinement is what makes you great. When somebody else is recognizing you for your greatness, you know what? The key factor for self-awareness in the presence is gratitude. Immediately. You need to immediately say, thank you very much. I work hard at this. That's it. Or you don't even have to say, I work hard at this. Thank you very much. I appreciate you, supporting me. Because the key is somebody else is looking at you. Somebody else in their own system and their own thoughts and process and greatness of their own self-awareness is able to take time out to come to you and tell you, hey, I witnessed what you did, and I think you were fantastic. You were great. Okay. Well, if you were great, then why are the person that you're yourself who achieved this greatness where other people witnessed are not happy enough to be able to say thank you? So that's key to you. Remember, in frequency, mastering your own frequency episode, we talked about the energy of the frequency. There's the dark and the low frequency and the high, the light. You need to really understand how you bring yourself down when you're not aware by not knowing your own frequency of what's going on here. Somebody wants to give you praise and raise you up. Why would you, in any mind, matter, or any reason to want to squash that and bring it down? Okay. So stop doing that, because by doing that, you will not achieve what you are searching to become. Your commitment to become needs to start right there. Your commitment needs to tell yourself, stop being in fear of accepting success, accepting praises. Stop acknowledging your own greatness and success, because when other people can do it and offer it to you, gratitude is your becoming at that point in the presence. Now, I've had family members that was very negative in the sense of that. And I, of course, as a kid, I pattern it, I model it. And this is where most of us get our bad habits, is that we model somebody who's older than us in a family, and then we believe that's the proper way to act. I used to do things just because I saw it, and not really knowing that was not, a good way to behave, or that was less, in sense of the manners, etiquettes, and those kind of things. You just did it because, hey, well, that person in the family can do it, then I guess that's just the way to do it. Then we're talking about something as simple as being, nice and having a proper etiquette when then somebody comes to you and goes, would you like something to drink? Or would you like some more of this? And opposed to say, yes, thank you very much. The attitude would be, yeah, all right. That is not very gracious, and it's not very connecting, and it's very, condescending in a lot of ways, that, you're being very aloof and standoffish. And why is that? Because again, maybe if you're not aware, you're not very confident about your awareness. Therefore, you behave in a way that you don't want to engage. Whatever that reason may be, if you know better, this is what Kat always says. Hi, babe. Kat always says, if you know better, you do better. Now, a lot of us believe that, but somehow, sometimes we still don't do better. So the commitment to become is about that. Once you make the commitment to be exactly the greatness of yourself, within yourself, in the balance of yourself, that you will make that a moment-to-moment awareness presence, and you will stand firm on the momentary decisions that take split seconds, that continues to move you forward in the right direction. And this is where you will then start to see little things will change, little behaviors of your own self, or little behaviors of other people toward you. It's incredible to me. And I've always, thought this as I became more and more involved into developing my personal self. I've definitely recognized that my influence toward what I can share could be great if I choose to take that path. This is what ultimately drove me to wanting to produce a film and make the film The 13th Note. The 13th Note was an idea that I had for over 20 years when I was first starting out selling Steinway and Sons pianos. The idea behind that was that I wanted to show the world that you should not be prejudiced toward music in any genre just because the act may look funny, the act may dress different, or even the act is purely aggressive and very negative in the message and so forth. You got to know, light envelops dark. Dark constantly try to evade light. So therefore, that energy of propelling in the universe that constantly expands, they both have to exist. But you don't let the dark propel you. You be the bringer of light to envelop as you expand. Now, of course, this is very philosophical, but if you study in the esoterics and the mystics and the magics and energy movements, we can cover so wide on this. You go into those directions, you'll soon recognize what I'm saying is true. This is not something that I'm making up. This is something that has been taught in many cultures, many generations. And of course, it is the truth within self if you seek within self and connect with the universe. And going forward with this movie, after 20 years of on and off, so forth, and it was going to be a concert, it was going to be all kind of different stuff. Then ultimately, that I just went, you know what? Let me just fund this. Let me just pull some money out and create this. And I was very fortunate to find talents such as Dr. Yen Shin, Rusty Cooley, Kareem K, all these guys who and girls, all these people who was involved in their own personal greatness that I wanted to be able to put together in a formula and create the story. And the story was, it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what genre you are. It doesn't matter what culture you're raised from. It doesn't matter what social status you could achieve, whatnot. What is greatness within yourself? And we did it on of course, the medium and the platform of music. We have a concert pianist, and then we have a world-class heavy metal shredder, and then to show their back stories and how they get together of becoming who they are, and then ultimately finishing this film with the collaboration of two artists so far apart from each other to be able to create this beautiful little piece of music for us. And I couldn't be more happier in regards to just the efforts and the ideas that came out of this movie. It's actually a short film because it's 20 minutes and change. It won 17 awards and 9 film festivals around the world. I'm very proud of that. But I also know in the business, you're kind of here today, gone later today. So immediately I thought to myself, okay, how do we be able to, as a team, grow this thing so we can affect and help others? What do I want to help? What am I actually helping? I wanted to show people that if you want to be great and be a master or something, that you can. There is no limitation just because I grew up in Kentucky in the backwoods. No, whatever you want to do, you can do it. I grew up in Pakistan. I mean, how could I barely get drinking water. Okay, I get that. But what greatness do you want to be? So the 13th note served as a catalyst for me to develop, and I trademarked the 13th note to become an educational entity. And educational entities meaning that we're going to do instructionals, we're going to do mentorships, where we're going to do variety of different things. And podcasting just somehow landed in my lap. Thanks, Josh Reed. So actually, that's how it all came about. I wanted to promote the 13th note and the 365 method book and so forth. And Josh Reed is someone I've listened to for so many years now that he actually said to me, why don't you consider doing podcasts? Because then you can reach an audience and kind of share the ideas of what you're putting forward in all your writings and your teachings and so forth. And I thought about it, and then I prayed on it and I meditated on it and so forth. So ultimately, I came with this moniker and idea. The JSW432 is an energy, it's an entity that comes with me. And it came with me back in 97, 98 when I started channeling, 96 even, when I really got into heavy meditation. We're talking about on a regular basis, where I then start studying channeling, how to connect to Akashic records in the universe, how to connect with energy consciousness that can bring me basically answers, ideas, thoughts, everything that we perceive that, oh, do we manufacture our own reality and so forth? Well, there's science that's proven that it seems to be that the energy that's around us, we are taking in and then filtering it. So thoughts doesn't come within ourselves. Okay, so this may be a little heavy for a lot of people going, what is he talking about? How am I not coming with these thoughts? I'm thinking it. Well, are you thinking it, or are you actually a crystal based being that is an all powerful magnet that receives and attracts? So I encourage everybody to go do deep dive searches on everything that I've just said, because this is how you're going to break out of this so-called the box of paradigm that has limited us on this planet to become a worker bee, to become a chaser of money, to become adored and adorned for accolades because achievements makes us who we are. All these false sense of why we're here. We are here to experience, to learn, to live, and to share and to bond, to connect. And as the Great Awakening is unfolding for the entire planet, we can see more and more through history and through the energy of the corruptions of how we have been put into a bondage as a society. And now we are ready to go into the next level. So JSW432 is what I describe as a 5D shaman. 5D is the fifth density. Fifth density is away from the third density, which we were actually residing in. Everything was very materialistic. Everything was very confined. There's really less thought of servicing to the soul, or everything was based off religion opposed to based off of our connection. So there's a lot of misdirection. And it was done by intent. So I would encourage everybody to go do their research in regards to what's going on here. Mike King, of course, who I had on Conversations on the Fringe podcast on redpills.tv, is a historian that is second to none. Everybody needs to go to Mike King's Amazon, Mike S. King, and get his book, the things you need to know. Then, of course, the many different ideas that comes from what we borrow since we're kids to become who we are often given to us as quote unquote facts and gospels. Drink your milk, don't eat fat, those kind of things are just not true. Have your breakfast cereal, because you can't start your day without without your cornflakes and all that. All now has been exposed as do not eat fake food products. Do not eat poisoned or genetically altered food products. Do not, do not, I mean, you can fill them in the blanks. For many years, we were told Crisco and margarines, these are things that's great, better for your heart than opposed to eating butter. Butter is fat. It give you a heart attack. Really? Now we find out fat is what actually our body burns off of it. The stuff that they're giving us in the process of margarines and Criscos and all these processed oils were used as lubricants and refinements of machinery that they needed to find another use for once the world wars were finished. So they were made into food products. They're not foods, they're food products. So to understand ultimately the mastery of yourself, you have to really learn quite a few things about your environment, your space, because without really truly understanding that, it's hard to make that split second decision because you're clouded. You're being conditioned and trained from what? From years of television, from years of movies, from years of indoctrination in school, from years of hearsays and propagandas that your government feeds you. Is all these things, any of it factual? Sure, there's some peppered in there here and there. That's exactly how the dark energy works. The dark energy evades, and constantly, if you're going to manipulate any people, anybody with a consciousness, you need to give them a hint of truth. So therefore, there's enough instinctiveness within the self that goes, oh, okay. And then when you start to spread misinformation and lies, then it's easier to assimilate that into somebody's consciousness with that hint of truth, opposed to just a flat out lie. If you just give a flat out lie, then of course it's just like, oh, that's just not believable. I feel nothing that resonates with, so therefore I'm not going to buy into it. Next. Okay. So the components of mastery is the steps that you really need to now look at by having all your prep work. What I'm talking about now is all the things that's around you that's important. If you need to have any clarity, first and foremost, you have to have clarity within your self-awareness. And that comes down to, are you resting, sleeping enough? Are you eating, drinking the right things? Are you exercising, creating a good biological flow of energy? Are you balancing yourself? Or are you promiscuous and just out there and spreading your seeds and having sex with everybody and then coming home feeling absolutely depleted and empty and not understanding why? These are all things that if you don't know, you need to research and look into. You don't want me just to keep on saying, hey, do this, do that, don't do this, and don't do that. That makes no sense, because most of us don't like to be told what to do. Most of us don't care until we reach a moment of truth, something that causes us to go, oh, why? And that is the reason why I'm here today, because I had the epiphany around 28 going into 29. My life crashed and burned like you would not believe. I was this close of checking out, because my whole career fell apart. All the intentions that I've ever worked for has been destroyed, and all the empowerment that I thought I was achieving by using the black energy, the dark arts, it betrayed me. Just like Anakin, it betrayed him. Padme still died, didn't she? So it's funny how some of these things we grow up with, stories and movies and TV shows, how much it influences us and how much we actually live off of it. But once you start to doing your deep dive researches, you start to peel away the onion. You start to go, oh, that's not essential for me to have anymore. That's not something that's going to serve me in the long run. Oh man, this thing's just absolutely been a lie. It's been the governor to all my momentum. So once you start to do those things, you will find this true sense of awareness being much more so-called condensed, so much more fortified and empowered. And that's the biggest part of greatness of moving forward and making right decisions, is that your self-awareness becomes so tuned in, so present, and so confidently self. So with that, I hope everyone has a great holiday weekend, holiday season. I am going to be on Conversations on the Fringe Friday night, which is later today, on redpills.tv. He's going to stream across with Josh Reed's Red Pills on X and I think YouTube, maybe Facebook, I'm not sure. But I'm doing one on Thanksgiving, the origin of Thanksgiving. And I know there's, because of the greatness of the so-called AI and internets and all that, we now know a lot more than we ever have about everything. And it's funny to me that there's still people thinking, yeah, the Thanksgiving holiday started with pilgrims sitting down and sharing food with the Indians, just like on the Brady Bunch. So I'm going to open up that tonight and talk about the history and how we have bought into and how it actually changes us in our mindset and our paradigm in regards to when we start to approach Thanksgiving, Black Friday, and then ultimately the holiday seasons and going into the new year. Is it serving us to the best, or is it actually destroying us? Find out. Tune in tonight. Conversations on the Fringe. This is, of course, my Art of Mastery, The 13th Note. I'm so proud of that film. I'm so proud of everybody involved with it, and I hope you get to see it. It's on YouTube. It's on Rumble, The 13th Note, directed by Kareem K. You can't miss it. Check it out. Leave us a comment. Of course, here, like and subscribe, and help us get the word out. Share it. You know, we are at a turning point of our awakening that I realize it. My wife, Kat, realizes it. This is why both of us just started going into podcasting, started going into counseling, planning. She's doing hypnotherapy sessions for her folks. She's a trained hypnotherapist. Fantastic. I use her service for my sports package. In other words, I use it to better my baseball skills. And I have definitely achieved that. And I hope you get to achieve everything you're great at. If you ever have an opportunity to make that split-second decision, don't let fear take you out. Prep. Be ready. Be ready with self-awareness and understanding what you're making that decision about. And also knowing the commitment, what you're about to become. And with that, I wish you all the best. Happy holidays. Much love to every one of you. I'll see you next on Art of Mastery, the 13th Note podcast. CUP. And it goes.